Earth-shattering news for the terminally online Turkey Tom is facing some serious sexual misconduct allegations. Now, if you don't know who Turkey Tom is, he's got a pretty big channel here, 1.6 million subs. He covers lolcows and the like, just other content creator stuff, similar to what I do, but much higher quality production that he ends up putting on, more so like video essays as opposed to news coverage. He also has a bit more of a news-focused channel called Tom Dark, where he's covered other stuff. Now, like I said, these allegations surround sexual misconduct with previous partners that he's had, and these exes took to Kiwi Farms and started posting about their experiences, including screenshots, some audio files, etc. The main allegations being brought forth are that he was physically abusive during sexual encounters, that he cheated on some of these partners, and I would say the more serious allegation is that he was non-consensually recording sexual encounters with these exes and potentially collecting some of these videos and putting them into a folder to seemingly use as blackmail in case one of these exes spoke up. Editor Quinthio here. This blackmail folder is not actually in regard to any of these videos that were allegedly non-consensually taken that were added to this folder. It was actually audio and text messages that were screenshotted, things like that, from previous exes that he had in a just-in-case folder. Just want to make that clarification. Some people, including myself, have those mixed up, and we'll be going over that later. I will leave a link down in the description below. This is a website that was compiled called ttallegations.full that comprises all of the messages and screenshots, as well as some of the audio examples provided from Kiwi Farms. Before we get into reading and breaking down the allegations, I need to get this out of the way. I actually had the opportunity to meet Tom and a bunch of other YouTubers when I went to VidCon last year. I have to some degree become passing friends with Tom. We've played video games together, we shot the shit, got plastered at a party, and went to Denny's at 3 in the morning. Now, this does not put me in a similar position to that of like Nicholas Oreo, for example, who has a podcast with the guy and they have been connected for years. But I want to make it very clear, I've got a bit of a bias here when I'm covering this. I've done my best to go over this, make an analysis of what has come out so far. There is admittedly a lot to this drama that I think is really stupid or confusing as to why it exists or why some of this information has been brought up. I promise I will get to that. I just want to make sure that I'm transparent with you guys here. But now let's jump into it. Like I said earlier, and I'll just kind of read this top part here, this timeline features a list of all of the allegations posted by both Turkey Tom's exes in chronological order without the interruption of other conflicting posts from the Kiwi Farms thread. To get a comprehensive understanding of all the events posted here, it's best to read the actual Kiwi Farms thread in order to get any and all context that is missing from this timeline. And starting here, this is the first post. So this comes from Sacramento 89, the first ex to come out of the woodwork here. She starts with, "Hi Kiwi people, I dated Tom for a few months after meeting him on Tinder. I'm not super into internet stuff and had no idea what Kiwi Farms was, but this page was always his #1 search Safari thing that pops up on iPhone when he went to Google something. When I asked about this website, he got super defensive and weird about it, so I obviously looked into it and found all of this crazy shit, like him admitting to being bisexual. Messaged the owner of this website, Joshua Moon, to get the code to post here. Basically, I started to get suspicious about all the e-girls he's followed/interacted with, and he started raging at me. He also lied to me at first about the fact he does YouTube. He did some crazy shit like kicked holes in a wall at a house he was renting because some e-girl who copies Belle Delphine got hacked, and the hacker was blackmailing him with his dick pics. He continued to talk with her after the fact. I have screenshots confirming all of this, attached a couple, but I think I have more. This guy is a real freak and likes to record sexual encounters without asking first during almost every time. I know for a fact he's done this to at least one other girl. Serial gooner and has flown out several e-girls to sleep with. He told me he has a file on his computer called Just In Case that's basically voice memos or calls from his exes to blackmail them with in case they ever say something about him. Thought I would get the message out and confirm y'all's suspicions. Also, if this gets out, to warn other young women in the Texas area about this dude." And attached, she had a photo with Tom showing proof of identity, as well as these screenshots of kind of Tom talking about the fact that his dick pics were probably going to be dropped online due to this hacking thing. To start off first, okay, the big allegations that are being levied. #1, he consistently checks Kiwi Farms. Maybe it's an insecurity thing. Maybe he wants to see what people are talking about him. Second, he kicked holes in wall at a house because he apparently was getting blackmailed by a hacker who was going to send dick pics to, family or just posting them online. The much more serious allegations, likes to record sexual encounters without asking first almost every time. And this person is saying they know for a fact that he's done it to at least one other girl. She's also claiming that he's a serial gooner, so he's just into a lot of sex with e-girls, it looks like. The other more, serious allegation that he has a file on his computer called Just In Case that is voice memos or calls from his exes to blackmail them, which doesn't sound like, the recorded sexual encounters. It just seems like these are voice memos or calls from his exes to blackmail them. And then this is him talking the messages here. She's like, everything good. He says, I don't know, I'll explain later. It has nothing to do with you. They say, oh shit, scale of 1 to 10, how bad? And he says, very. Says, I'm so sorry. An ex of mine got hacked, basically, and some stuff is probably going to be dropped online photos. They emailed my family. And then him talking back and forth with this gal. She the one who looks like Belle Delphine? Yeah, that's the one. Do you think my type is Belle Delphine? No, like emo huzz of that nature. And he says, I would prefer you just dress normal. I don't want to be with them anymore. It's better this way. Shit does make me want to Ann Hero a little bit, off himself, etc. I'm going to level with you. There are a lot of messages going back and forth between Tom and these people, and a lot of, some other drama commentary people are interested in talking about these gooning allegations or his sexual preferences. We're going to dive into a bit of it because it has to do with like physical abuse and what was okay or not, and consensual non-consent, which again, I'll explain in a bit. But for me personally, and I have kind of held this standard since covering pirate software, I really, as long as everything is consensual, do not give a fuck about what you do behind closed doors. It's just not something I'm super interested in getting into the weeds about on this channel, or just for me personally. I just have no interest in what two consenting adults do behind closed doors. If Tom is a mad gooner and is being an absolute freak in the sheets, but the people that he is with are saying, yes, let's do the things that you want to do, I don't give a shit. And when it comes to judging somebody's moral character, it's just that's not involved in making those decisions. When it does is when we start broaching into illegal territory, which again, we will bring up later. But again, I just want to set that expectation now. Continuing on though, following up that, they respond back to some people saying they're skeptical of Sacramento. They say, I promise all of this is real. I can post more screenshots, but I am a little scared of him coming after me because I'm a normal person and his just in case file, lol. They continue on and they clarify exactly what they're alleging against Tom. They say, I'm not alleging anything illegal or saying it was revenge porn or anything. What I meant was he wouldn't ask before and proceeded to take his phone out mid-sexual activity to film. I sometimes wouldn't notice till like 15-30 seconds after he started filming. I have no idea if this is illegal or not, but yeah, he wouldn't ask before. Reached out to an ex-girlfriend of his, he would do the same thing to her. The blackmail he has on his computer is phone calls and texts, I believe. Most of them are from his ex-girlfriend named Kai. Here's a picture from when we matched on Tinder. Don't have the messages from when we matched anymore. So this is that screenshot of the matching on Tinder. Some people are going to ask in the future about why she had taken a screenshot of that, because they're like, well, if you didn't know who he was, why were you screenshotting matching with them? And I'm just going to read the summary for this part here. She then posts him being in contact with a thirst-trapping e-girl despite being in a relationship. Well, and I guess specifically to show you guys, so she says the main reason we broke up is actually because I mentioned this website to him, that I saw some crazy stuff about him online, / his history with e-girls bothered me. Pic is about the Belle Delphine type girl who was hacked. I'm suspicious of cheating because he did not block her after the fact, and apparently she was still talking to him. And so that's him talking about this e-girl that he was talking to, and apparently the 7 pictures of him with his dick out that he had sent this e-girl. She goes on to talk about how Tom was worried about her like engaging on this gossip website about Tom, Kiwi Farms one in particular. I don't really see much of an issue with this, being that, they're talking about Tom in a very negative light. If I had a website of people that really didn't like me and they were dedicating their time to just posting about me in that way, I guess I also wouldn't be a fan of, my wife checking that out. This leads to a post with vastly more digital evidence than the rest of her posts combined. I've been in contact with the ex since Tom and I broke up, yes, and she's aware that I'm posting on here and is actively trying to make an account to post on here as well, gave me permission to post these screenshots. Her IG is Clorox Katie after leaving his house and flying back home, had a big bruise. And this is that post from that other ex with a bruise on her face here. Included additionally were screenshots of more texts with Sacramento saying, DMs with Tom, she gave me permission to post, proof he flew e-girls out, while including even more screenshots in her post. And so it's kind of just confirming that Tom was messaging this gal and flying them out to hang out with him. In this middle one here to show proof, and they will clap and cheer when they hear your name taking off. I'm so excited, 9 hours. And here's a screenshot again confirming the flight. Following after that, she posts again clarifying who the other ex is, including her Instagram handle. The girl he sent dick pics to and hacked was an age play / Belle Delphine type girl. I sent the screenshots about the blackmailer guy here earlier. He told me he went to meet up with her, but was too weirded out and went back home. Her account has been posted in this thread before. I believe it's at Creepy Hoarder. Now, from what I understand, age play is role play, except you're acting as though you have 2 different ages. I'm assuming like larger. I think it can go multiple ways, but most often age play is talked about of like someone pretending to be a lot younger than they are. I think you can understand where I'm going with this. So I think a lot of people would be alarmed if Tom was engaging with this person specifically to engage in this age play stuff. Now, in this post, Tom denies that, but I think later down the line, we do have confirmation that they did indeed meet up and it seems spent the night in a hotel. Following up though, to give a bit more clarification on this, like the bruising and things like that, she clarifies that Tom would both choke her and hit her in the face during sex, which was usually very aggressive. Skipping down to that specific part, she says, I don't want to get into anything illegal, but during sex, he was very rough, would choke and hit me in the face. I don't think anyone he knew IRL knew about this. And then following up here, it says, is that where the bruise on that other girl came from? She replies, yes, he could hit pretty hard. Then she says that he had a porn addiction. She says, he told me he was a porn addict in the past, but quit a couple years ago. I believe he replaced his porn addiction with filming other women during sex because he was unable to bust most of the time during sex, but only through watching the videos he would take. As soon as I confront him about what I had seen about him online, he wasn't able to maintain an erection, and I think sex is just a huge ego thing for him. Now, this does help, I guess, in some way give an explanation as to why he was recording these videos. Again, it's not confirming that they were, that he was holding on to these, you know, non-consensual recorded videos. Now, this might also be Sacramento playing it down, the severity of what's happening, because as you saw earlier, she said, I'm not sure that it's even illegal for him to have been, you know, without my permission, recording us during a sexual act. I'm pretty sure that that's illegal in a few regards. And this post can kind of corroborate a reason as to why he was recording during these encounters. It doesn't seem that he was sharing these around to anybody. This individual also clarifies that they don't think that any of these recordings were put in that blackmail folder for later. So the biggest allegation is that he was recording these videos non-consensually for his own personal gain. From my brief research into this specific topic and the legality of recording someone without their permission, it seems that in most jurisdictions in the United States, non-consensual recording of someone in a sexual encounter is a no-go. It's especially illegal in places like California, Florida, Massachusetts, these places where it's a 2-party consent state, and that can lead into it potentially being a felony. But even in these like 1-party consent states, which is usually relating to, you know, recording someone while you're having a conversation, they typically are talking about conversations and not sexual encounters because you have a reasonable expectation of privacy when you're having an intimate moment like that. I'm not a fucking lawyer though, take that with a grain of salt, but if there happens to be any lawyers watching this video that have any input, I'd love to hear your expertise on this matter. She also makes mention that she doesn't really have a ton of evidence because he was careful about what he texted. So she says here it's hard because he was very careful about what he said over text, and she again repeats, I'm not alleging anything illegal, just that he would hit and choke because he was super gooner. Sort of normalized it in my head, but it's definitely not okay to do all that. All of the proof is in those videos he had, refused to send me, or ignored the question when I asked. Katie told me that the picture of the bruise was due to injuries from sex, which I believe because he would slap both of us. Did you live together during those 7 months? 7 months is a long time. What made you stay if he was sketchy and had red flags? She says, no, we didn't. We would only see each other like once a week. He was usually pretty nice, but sometimes would say stuff that made me question his intentions. Would buy me a lot of stuff and take me to nice places. Said he wanted to marry me and start a family, but as soon as I started getting sus, it's like a switch flipped. So he bought her a lot of stuff, took her to nice places, and they interacted about once a week, and he said that he wanted to marry her and start a family. And also it seems that in retrospect, she wasn't cool with all of the choking and hitting, but it seems like she had said it was normalized in her head during the time. Now, this I found interesting because some of his other behavior that has already been described has kind of looked like, you know, an abuser in a relationship. But when it comes to being controlling, apparently that wasn't the case with him. Someone asks Sacramento, was he very insecure and controlling about who you talk to? She replies back, no, it was almost the opposite. Like, he didn't even care if I went out to a bar or anything, but yeah, his feelings about his ex, I think, contribute to a lot of his behavior. Now, this is another strange one in regard to the kind of age play stuff. Despite telling his girlfriends that they looked like 15-year-olds, Tom still engaged in intercourse with them. Sacramento says, no, he would actually tell me he liked that I looked normal and he was done with the BPD types. I think one of the screenshots of our messages had him saying something like that. I have no idea about the gender of the e-girls. I'm pretty sure they were all women, to my knowledge. Another thing to add, during one of our first dates, he told me I looked like I was around 15, told Katie the same thing. Again, not confirmed. I feel it safe to believe that Sacramento was a previous ex of Tom. I don't really have a good reason to suspect them of lying about something like this. And yeah, for somebody that you are going to have sex with, quite an interesting comment to make. I would also say very peculiar to make that comment about someone knowing full well that they're hearing that and that you're going to have sex with them later. It's just weird on both sides of it. This part is titled, the man spent too much time on Discord and said it was hard to tell the difference between minors and adults. She says that he was on Discord like 24/7, and then down here, they're asking what was the context. Did he mean like, oh baby, you looking 15 years old, and Tommy likey, which is approximately how cringe I imagine he talks at all times, or was like, haha, you look 15, like kind of joke. To be honest, I don't even know how to phrase it in the latter fashion, but yeah, sounds sus without context. Sacramento responds to this person saying, context was that I told him he looked older than his age. In response, he said I looked 15 to 16 because it's hard to tell at the ages of 15 to 23. She then talks a bit more about the She then goes into a bit more detail about what Tom would do that would hurt her during sex. This might be too personal, but texts about being hurt and bleeding after sex, I really don't have much evidence because he was so careful and told me all of this was normal. Like, we don't need to do it 3 times in one day or do it so hard I hurt and bleed. He says, well, if you don't want to have as much sex, we don't gotta, we can do other things. She says, okay, I like doing other things too. And then she clarifies that the bloody ordeal isn't due to any underlying health issues. She goes on to say what he would do afterwards, because people were curious about aftercare, and said that he would just go on his phone on Discord after literally choking, hitting, and making me bleed. Lol, had to teach him to be nice after. This was an issue at the beginning. I believe the bleeding was caused because he would basically just bend me over and do stuff. No foreplay. Look, does this sound pleasant? No. If you are going to engage with someone in this manner, and you're going to do it again afterwards, after you've experienced pain, that there hasn't been foreplay, whatever, that's a conversation you have with that individual to change things. Like Sacramento said in that same thing, she told him, you know, hey, be nice to me after these things. It's clear that Sacramento is capable of having those discussions with Tom to figure it out, so it's a bit strange to me that there wasn't a conversation about the other bits of it. Maybe that's just not something that came up. Again, for me, this just feels like getting very nitpicky and in the weeds about someone's, you know, lacking thereof in, you know, properly taking care of a partner during sex. I think the biggest thing for me, and why I'm probably not going to cover a ton of more of this stuff, I'll probably just gloss over it, is because if you are continually having consensual, you know, sex with somebody and you're not happy with some of the things that are happening, you can speak with that person and try differently. There are no allegations about him forcing himself onto these women or doing anything even close to that sort. It just seems that they were not happy and that he was not the most high quality lover to them. Continuing on, this is when that second other ex named Katie showed up on Kiwi Farms under this username Left for Dead, offering even more proof of his degeneracy. She joins in to say, yeah, hi, finally made an account. Yes, Tom is extremely harsh during sex. I've been down the kink roads of my life, and how he acts is actually just evil and almost sadistic. Just actually a Patrick Bateman type gooner. First girl already posted some of my screenshots, but if anyone has questions or more proof, I'll try to see if I can answer. Sacramento then follows up saying that they are reaching out to law enforcement. Or at least she said, I told him I was considering reaching out to law enforcement, telling people about everything that went down, and then I blocked him after listing out every single thing he did wrong because I know he will send my text to his lawyer. And then we kind of get into the consensual non-consent stuff. She has an audio talking about how Tom wants to night grape her. She says, I gotta upload everything from my phone to my PC. I got a crazy audio of him saying he wants to night grape me, which for sure think he was saying that as like negative riz, but actually insane to use that as riz. They continue to say, I truly thought he was a cringe who definitely was gonna beat me later if I stayed around. We only had a 2-month fling because even my insane ass was scared of how he acted and was also just stupid. I hated conversation with him. Now, they felt like that is what was going to happen if they continued on, but again, is not saying that that is what happened. You can see here that Katie is making a clear difference between, you know, actual abuse versus, you know, if she stayed around, that she was gonna be beaten by him, which means that the engaging in very, you know, rough sex prior to it, she is not classifying as him beating her. It's a different thing, and was saying it was going to if she had stayed around. I think that is noteworthy to point out. Sacramento then goes on to include a bit more information about this folder that she had alluded to earlier, and says, in regard to what kind of material it is, no clue. He told me it was phone calls / texts from his ex Kai. I'm probably in there too now. Might be other stuff as well. Following up the post that she was talking about earlier, she ends up posting, and here we can take a listen to both of them here. So this first one is him talking about night graping Katie.
I'm a fan of night. I like night. After a long day at work, a little night.
True.
Yeah.
He could be serious. It almost sounds like I'm hearing him laugh afterwards. Genuinely, that just kind of sounds like he's joking. Although with her context later as to why they were recording, that doesn't seem to be as much the case, and maybe he was just trying to make it sound like joking to actually say it out loud. I don't know. And then this was the second audio file that they included as well.
I was like, you trying to push me away that I like put more on top of you and like really put all my weight on you.
True, actually true.
Sometimes you were like, ow, wow.
True. Okay, yeah, you're too strong sometimes. My little noodle arms, I thought my arms were gonna break at one point.
Yeah, you know, I'm just giant, strong, and... Yeah, true.
True. So true.
It's so nice though, it's like, cause like you're like small, petite, and I'm like big and strong, it's like really nice job.
Sure, it's like a match made in heaven.
It is. You have like small tits and I have a big dick, it's like perfect.
True.
It's like the ideal thing. It was my thing.
Curious to hear what you guys think. It just kind of sounds like a conversation sexually charged between someone and their partner. Here, the other notable thing that gets brought up is the new ex, Katie, saying she dated him longer, so she might have more insight, lol, but to me, just weird CNC ass shit. So this person asked Katie, besides the age play bullshit, can you tell us about any weird shit he's also into? People just looking for the gossip. And she says she dated him longer, talking about Sacramento, I assume, so she might have more insight, lol, but to me, just weird CNC, which is that consensual non-consent ass shit, forced play again into small girls and damn near age play. He would just talk about grape a lot. The consensual non-consent, essentially just agreeing with somebody to have intercourse at a later time without consent, but you've agreed to it before. It's just, I guess, the facade and role play of not. I know there are people that are into this, and I know that there are a lot of people that are like, that's freaky that you're into it. Again, my biggest thing is, okay, if it's CNC, it means it is consensual to agree to setting up a situation like that. Following up later down the line, though, Sacramento comes back and is replying to someone saying, you know, this is battery and illegal without consent. Are you implying it was consensual? She should report him to the police if she suffered bodily harm. She replies, he would hit and choke without ever asking me if this is okay. And yeah, I'm thinking about it. Probably going to be one of my last posts on here. When more shit eventually comes out about him, just know I warned y'all. Weird thing about this is he would hit and choke without ever asking me if this is okay. I can't imagine that they only had sex once. Earlier, there was a screenshotted, you know, messages betwixt them of saying, you know, we don't need to have sex 3 times a day, something like that. And if there was an issue with the choking or hitting, I feel like that would have been brought up to a point that if you're going to be reaching out to the cops in regard to it, or maybe I'm just reading this wrong, I just find that a bit strange. It seems like you were consenting to it, and now in retrospect, you weren't okay with it. It is good, though, that if they truly believe something illegal was happening, that they're stopping talking about it here on Kiwi, except they are going to continue talking more about it. To go in that direction and reach out to the authorities and go the legal route, I generally am like, that's good. Like, take it seriously, contact the authorities, see what they can do, and don't worry too much about speculating if it's illegal or not with people online. They go on to say, in regard to, getting a lawyer, thanks, already been in contact with a lawyer because I know Tom has too. The difficult part of this case is that most of the proof is in his hands, i.e. the videos, so would need to get a subpoena for that if his snivelly ass hasn't figured out how to perma-wipe it yet. Continuing on though, they say Tom would get pissed if Sacramento referred to their CNC, the consensual non-consent time, as grape play, which is kind of what it already was. Sacramento here says just gonna go nuclear before his imminent crash out, but yeah, he would get mad about me calling our encounters grape play over text, which is essentially what they were. And then Tom is messaging this person saying, do not say grape times. They said, okay, sorry. Change that to consensual sexual encounters, which is what they are. Thank you. Say, I know, but okay, sounds good. I'd like to, as I said, gotta get work done, but I think I can still be there. Okay, yay. Are you mad at me? This is Tom showing apparently a photo of his basement, saying this is my basement, not my parents, my house. I had to stop there to look around. And then down below, I like the Despicable Me poster, the e-girl grape dungeon. Your house is nice. And then she also drops the bomb that Tom sent nudes to an age-playing lollipop dressing e-girl. She says more proof that the girl he sent nudes to was an age player. Now the screenshots were a bit blurry here, but I went over to the other supplemental tab here. This is a proof, and this is talking about that e-girl saying that they were into age play. Their name is Ellie. And so they're showing a few photos from that. This is one of them. Ellie's comments towards her being a minor do not apply to her relationship with Tom. And it just goes to show that she was engaged in a certain lifestyle. So you can see this is one of the photos as well as this one here. And this is her replying to some drama that she had with an individual who is claiming that she was forcing him to engage in intercourse stuff during their relationship and also acting out her trauma from when she was younger. Not really interested in diving down that rabbit hole, but suffice to say this person was engaged in the age play stuff that they're talking about, the lollipop stuff as well, and that this was somebody that Tom had been sending nudes to. Again, it's not proven that Tom was or wasn't engaging in that kind of stuff, just that he was sending shit to someone who did. Now, this is actually one of the posts that kind of confirmed that Sacramento was definitely one of Tom's exes here. Said, haha, no, and this is talking about I'm Alex. Did he threaten to hit your head with a brick? And they said, ha, no, but he was working on a video about this I'm Alex dude last time we spoke. And sure as shit, his most recent upload, which, check the comments section, is a video talking about I'm Alex. She also talked about the holes in the wall, showed me the holes in his wall IRL and on FaceTime, but didn't get a pic. Told me he was paying the owner of the house he was renting to get them fixed. I can send pictures of inside his gamer room. So he punched holes out of frustration, something. He's got anger issues and then was paying people to get them fixed. Next, and I also found this interesting, she goes through some of her and Katie's DMs. And I'm just going to read through a few bits here because it was interesting to me. They're talking here, if it makes you feel better, we hadn't talked in over a year. I met him twice in February of 24. Okay, that's good. Okay, this is insane. You are way better than him, girl. He was actually shockingly a gooner. He recorded everything we did, which scared me, and also he didn't come the whole time. I'm sorry, TMI, and then etc. Saying he recorded everything we did, which scared me. She knew that she was being recorded and didn't ask him not to, we don't know if she had asked him to not record or delete the videos, anything, or maybe she's just worried that he didn't follow up on that. I don't know if when you're talking to somebody, you're expecting a bunch of people to be reading it for its validity and whatnot. She might not have been thinking about it in that way. She's just talking to someone else that, she thinks was hurt by Tom. In the situation of being a victim in a situation like this, you can't always expect a victim to be a perfect victim, to outline everything perfectly. Although I have many issues with a lot of the things that have come out, I think in the same right, you shouldn't always be expecting to have everything outlined perfectly for someone like me to be going over and analyzing it. Here, this screenshot reads, at the top here, you should lift me up and press me, something like that. And it's honestly not good that I have no natural athletic inclination, but if you just keep blah, 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 I will. But in 2 years, that's impressive because weren't you a twink and now you're a bear from the bottom to the top? You're really strong because sometimes when you are on top of me and holding my wrist, feels like my wrists are going to break in halves. I also feel like I've gotten used to the D because at first it used to hurt so much. Now it's not so bad. My bad, I shouldn't be so aggressive, but you're also 100 pounds, so that's part of it. Doesn't hurt that much anymore just at the beginning. And he says, gotta go get dressed for work, looking to hang tomorrow. Again, It seems like they're sending Tom apologizes for being so aggressive, and also them saying, you know, I'm kind of getting used to how aggressive they are, etc. Following up after this, Katie shows photos of her with the bruise on her face, dropping 4 more pictures, stating the bruise on my face was real. Here's multiple different photos and timestamps of it. I don't know if I got it from him hitting me or holding my mouth closed, but he did both, so it could have been either. Even commented on the bruise the next day, not even apologizing, just said that he was scared to take me in public because I looked like a victim. This just shows her in different poses here with the bruise. And then she had made this social media post saying, if I'm getting used, I'm going to end my shit, especially because he is beating me damn near and I'm just letting it happen because I want him to date me. Guys, I might snap and have to confess my love and insanity to him. I think hiding my BPD isn't working. Need him to know I'm really insane and already attached. Crazy thing to say. I don't really know how to go forward with someone not admitting that they're not into what you're doing if they're doing it because they want to date you. Again, it's just kind of putting up with stuff that you shouldn't be, but you're attached to someone in the way that they're describing. I don't know. I don't know how BPD works. I'm not a fucking psychologist. Make of that what you will. Next big thing that comes up is this confirmation of this other individual that I was talking about earlier that was into the age play, that kind of stuff. Ellie, one of Ellie's friends DM'd Left 4 Dead, that being Katie, one of the other exes. They confirmed that Tom did actually meet Ellie, flew her out to Maine, bought a hotel, definitely not scared away. Here's what I have so far. Said she will get more from Ellie. She heard about this yesterday. This is them hanging out. These are photos that they took together in these 2 instances here. Other people start questioning Katie in this instance here. Why post multiple statuses implying that you've been abused but never speak to the police? You clearly were not hiding this. They say the police deadass do not care, especially for out-of-state assaults. I lived across the country and would have had to file in Maine since that's where things occurred. Now, maybe that is an issue in regard to this. I think another issue would be that you went back multiple times and did not seem to make a point of like, I do not want you to hit me or any of these things during intercourse. That's kind of another issue with it. I also don't know the limits for how physical you can be even consensually during sex. I don't know what that threshold is. Again, any lawyers, help a guy out. But they say down here, did any of you go to a doctor or document your injuries or know who was? They said, I went to my gyno, but I somewhat swept it under the rug. I didn't explain fully what happened. I just wanted to make sure I didn't have like internal damage, which thankfully I didn't, just like 20 micro tears. Next up, again, I've gone through a lot of stuff that I didn't find relevant. Katie confirming that he doesn't eat box and doesn't do foreplay. Again, it's just stuff I don't find relevant. This is Sacramento now. She then releases more shocking information in the same post stating, admitting Kai cheated / more pedo baiter confrontation. So this is her talking about Tom after she had done her research, looked on Kiwi Farms and stuff, and started talking to Tom about it. She says, you can leave if you want. I don't care. But yeah, it did really freak me out. That type of thing is what you're like into, Tom, but I don't want to think you can't trust me. I just don't like hearing about the past. Tom responds, that type of thing is not what I'm into. She was just a girl who wanted to talk to me and I foolishly accepted it because I wanted my insecurities to be suppressed by having someone who liked me. They said, I'm sorry, I like you a lot. Tom replies, look, if me having banged a bunch of insane people is too much for you, that's fine. I get it if it infests your mind this much, but I don't like whatever it is you're implying. They respond back, it's not too much. I shouldn't have looked is my problem, lol. I'm over the fact that you've done that because it's in the past, but I think being kind of weirded out by that freaky shit isn't crazy. Tom responds, years ago, I had a bad breakup and I had been cheated on. It hurt my ego quite a bit, so I just decided the way to fix that was fucking a bunch of twisted sluts. It wasn't a good idea and I made things worse and I realize that now, but I don't want to endlessly explain myself. So, I mean, it sounds like a bit of self-awareness that his ego was hurt by a previous relationship and he's talking about that and that he's made poor life choices or poor partner choices in an endeavor of trying to, you know, fix his ego, whatever it is. He also denies that he's into the age play stuff that this individual was and gives the explanation that they accepted, you know, talking to this girl and spending time with them. Again, this is really coming down to he said, she said. Then apparently here, this is one of the moderators of this thread, I believe, said from Null, who has been confirming the identities of the people like Sacramento, Katie, these other people, saying, one of the girls has sent me a censored image to vouch for the following. And this photo is in Turkey Tom's room. The top of his head seems to be visible insofar as the hairstyles match, and that he is very roughly grabbing her cheeks with his hand from behind in a manner that could leave a thumbprint bruises on her face, like in the other photos that were posted by Katie. So it seems like that photo was taken to confirm that stuff. I found it useful to know that that was a photo that was saved by one of these women that was then shared and seems to be confirmed. Sacramento then kind of goes on to summarize what they've laid out and kind of shown definitive proof for on this website of the following. Hitting/squeezing face hard enough to cause bruising. One of Katie's texts confirmed the fact that he was filming during sex. Causing severe bleeding after intercourse. Sending nudes to an age player with an insane lollipop past that he definitely knew about. Meeting up and presumably having sex with the age player lollipop girl. Then they said, we literally keep digging for more info, but Ellie hasn't responded. Maybe she freaked. I'm almost 100% certain Tom did age play with her though. And then telling us it's attractive that we look like kids, i.e. small boobs. I don't think it's confirmed that he's attracted to them because of that fact, but he has pointed it out. She then goes on to explain, unfortunately, I agree with you. We both definitely have attachment issues and should have dumped his ass the moment he started hitting us. However, I don't think that discards the fact that what he did was wrong, and he probably purposely chose us because he could tell we both have issues. Also, the money is a real thing. Full transparency, I was also in it for the bag because half the time he was really miserable to be around, but I could not put up with it that much longer. Now, there was another ex that ended up hopping onto Twitter. They made an account and then deleted it, and Katie came to kind of say that they're not great. They say here, this girl is 1,000% an attention whore and just hopped on the train in hopes of getting noticed, DM'd me very odd messages, also obviously self-conscious. She called herself chopped and fat multiple times. What a mess. And they're sending the photos from this individual here. Now, to kind of get close to wrapping this up, I just want to go over some of these other kind of conclusive posts by First Katie here, saying, I don't expect to be a martyr at all. Also, not an axe to grind. Sac, referencing Sacramento, came to me in DMs confiding, and that is literally the only reason that I spoke out about this. I felt bad. An extremely normal girl met Tom on Tinder out of all places, didn't know his past / he lied, and she was scared on what to do next and like how to heal from something insane like that. I wanted to help add validity to her accounts, and I never came out before because I know how his fans can be, and I didn't want to deal with dogpiling. It's nice. Most people are being pretty chill and supportive. Then soon Sacramento ends up following up and providing more evidence of Tom's sexual violence. This is messages of them talking to their roommate here, saying, this is a little personal, but I broke up with my boyfriend. I know I confided in you months ago about the sexual violence. I found out he has a pattern of this, and I'm considering going forward to law enforcement with this information. If you don't mind, could you write out a statement over text describing what I told you? Your statement will be 100% anonymous. The message here says, shared with me one evening that during sexual transactions with Thomas, she would vocally exclaim that he was being too aggressive and that he was hurting her, and that he would disregard what she was saying and proceed to engage with the transaction, even after she pleaded for him to stop because she was in pain. I also remember there was mention of bleeding due to such intense aggression during such transactions. Now again, and maybe this is in regard to like relationship abuse and whatnot, but for me, hearing that is like, okay, I understand that you believe that there was violence that occurred and you were saying that he would disregard you saying, you know, you're being too aggressive, things like that. But then you continued to have more engagements with him afterwards. You also mentioned that you were doing this for the bag, that you were, you know, taking the money and going to nice places and stuff, and that he was unbearable at least half the time. It just feels like intentions and what you were willing to put up with, like you're seeing now that maybe that wasn't okay to some degree, and I don't know if that's necessarily wrong or not. It's just a bit perplexing to me given that additional context. Again, curious to hear what you guys think. I feel like a broken record at this point. Someone else asks to provide any information like, you know, for context for the time frame of this happening. She asked, do you remember what time I told you this information? I believe it was in October of 2025. They say, to be honest, I'm not positive, but that sounds about right. I remember you were crying while working on some project for DAU, I think, and I knocked on your door and you kind of unleashed, and I'm pretty sure it was that conversation where you mentioned it and I told you that it wasn't normal and it's never ever okay. Now, in regard to this other girl that Katie was saying they were just like a clout chaser, just made a Twitter and whatnot, they were seemingly confirmed. They had photos from inside of Turkey Tom's gamer room and whatnot, and Cam Nuggets here on YouTube, you can check out his video. He had some messages between him and this person who had made a Twitter before they had deleted it. and he had saved the messages here. He had asked them about if Tom had engaged with them in RP roleplay or age play, and they said none of that. And the two most notable things that had come of it was that he apparently likes coke and maybe cheating with the dog girl that he had made a video with before. Furthermore, in regard to the choking and slapping is whatever, we did that, but it was like normal sex stuff. And this is about a autocorrect from Cam earlier with the blackmail. Kind of follow up on the hitting and slapping. Cam asks about, you know, that being consensual, things like that. She said, he did it without explicitly asking for my permission, but we were already about to be intimate, so I didn't really think anything of it. I don't really consider that as bad as the other things the girls are saying. And that kind of brings what we have so far to a close. Again, Tom has not made a response to this yet. I'm very curious to see what he is going to bring to the table. I think, again, the major issues that I have with all of this circle around non-consensually recording people that you're having sex with. That would be the biggest thing, as well as like a blackmail folder is also just kind of fucking insane if that is also true. Blackmail for what exactly? Them talking badly of you? Is it true blackmail of just exposing this person for no reason? I am personally conflicted at points because in some ways I'm worried that my bias of how I view Tom from meeting him, playing games, shooting the shit and that kind of stuff. I'm worried that I am having trouble deciphering between if I am making assertions or I'm speculating about a situation or choosing not to speculate because of that bias, or if I am too worried about that and just fucking overthinking it. And my takes on this seem pretty logical given the evidence. This would be a lot easier to talk about if I just straight up did not know the guy. But again, and that is why I've sounded like a broken record, I want to hear what you guys think and I want to see the discourse on it because I want to see where people are at. If there's any, you know, really big update, Tom responds, I will happily go over that. But truly, if there's just more information coming out about more, you know, sexual encounters that again are not illegal or are, to my opinion, worth your guys' time, I'm not going to cover it. I'm sure it's probably bleeding through the video and I don't even expect to do as well as the others because I've been uncomfortable covering this that I can't imagine I have been the most entertaining to hear go over these messages. So I apologize. I'm sure this video has also been super long, so we'll wrap it up here. Again, very interested to hear your guys' takes on this, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios, peace, bye, it's 4 a.m.